Stelgar Fleetfoot. To Riva Irongrip and to his line he gave the Orb of Aldur, and sent him to the Isle of the Winds. Balar, god of the Alorns, sent down 2 stars, and from them Riva forged a mighty sword, and placed the orb on its pommel. And he hung the sword on the wall of the throne room of the citadel, where it might ever guard the west from Torak. When Belgarath returned to his home, he discovered that his wife, Poledra, had borne him twin daughters, but then had passed away. In heartsick sorrow, he named his daughters Polgara and Beldarin, and when they were of age, he sent Beldarin to Riva Irongrip to be his wife and mother of the Rivan line. But Polgara he kept with him and instructed in the arts of sorcery. In rage at the loss of the orb, Torak destroyed the City of Night and divided the Angarax. The Murgos, the Nadrax, and the Thulls he sent to dwell in the wastelands along the western shores of the Sea of the East. The Malorians he kept to subdue all of the continent on which they dwelt. Overall, he set his Grolim priests to watch, to scourge any who faltered, and to offer human sacrifices to him. Many centuries passed. Then Zadar the Apostate, who served Torak, conspired with Salmisra, queen of the Snake People, to send emissaries to the Isle of the Winds to slay Gorek, Riva's descendant, and all his family. This was done, though some claimed that a lone child escaped, but none could say for certain. Emboldened by the death of the guardian of the orb, Torak gathered his hosts and invaded the west, planning to enslave the peoples and regain the orb. At Vomimbre, on the plains of Arendia, the hordes of Angarax met the armies of the west in dreadful slaughter. And there, Brand the Rivan warder, bearing the orb upon his shield, met Torak in single combat and struck down the maimed god. The Angarax, seeing that, were disheartened, and they were overthrown and destroyed. But at night, as the kings of the west celebrated, Zadar the Apostate took the body of Torak and spirited it away. Then the high priest of the Ulgos, named Gorim, as all such high priests had been, revealed that Torak had not been killed, but bound in slumber until a king of the line of Riva sat once more on the throne in the hall of the Rivan king. The kings of the west believed that meant forever, for it was held that the line of Riva had perished utterly. But Belgarath and his daughter Polgara knew better, for a child had escaped the slaughter of Gorek's family, and they had concealed him and his descendants in obscurity for generations. But ancient prophecies revealed to them that the time for the return of the Rivan king was not yet come. Many more centuries passed. Then, in a nameless city on the far side of the world, Zadar the Apostate came upon an innocent child and resolved to take the child and go secretly with him to the Isle of the Winds. There he hoped that the innocence of the child might enable that child to take the Orb of Aldur from the pommel of the sword of the Rivan king. It occurred as he wished, and Zadar fled with the child and the orb toward the east. Polgara the sorceress had been living with a young boy who called her Aunt Pol in obscurity on a farm in Sendaria. This boy was Garion, the orphaned last descendant of the Rivan line, but he was unaware of his parentage. When Belgarath learned of the theft of the orb, he hastened to Sendaria to urge his daughter to join him in the search for Zadar and the orb. Polgara insisted that the boy must accompany them on the quest, so Garion accompanied his Aunt Pol and Belgarath, whom he knew as a storyteller who sometimes visited the farm and whom he called grandfather. Dernick, the farmsmith, insisted on going with them. Soon they were joined by Barak of Cherek and by Keldar of Drasnia, whom men called Silk. In time, their quest for the orb was joined by others: Hetar, Horse Lord of Algaria, Mandoralan, the Mimbrate Knight, and Relg, an Ulgo zealot. And seemingly by chance, the Princess Senedra, having quarreled with her father, Emperor Ron Barun the 23rd of Tolnedra, fled his palace and became one of the companions, though she knew nothing of their quest. Thus was completed the company foretold by the prophecy of the Marin Codex. Their search led them to the wood of the Dryads, where they were confronted by the Murgo Grolim Asher.